roads are separated down by a waistline, as you can see, and when you're coming up the other side, they call it King Victoria for a reason. Let's put it that way. Yeah, that statue of Queen Victoria was the only building, the only monument, the only man-made structure in the city centre that was not struck by a bomb during the Second World War. Every other building you see here in the city was hit by at least some kind of firebomb. And this is Castle Street proper. If you look to the front of us now, you'll see the Town Hall. And that dates back to the late 1700s. Unfortunately, it burned down around the turn of the 19th century, so they rebuilt it in the 1820s. The second oldest building in Liverpool, though, if you count the original one. About the oldest building in Liverpool, you may have been. Has anyone been the big Primark yet? No? Well, next to the big Primark, there's an art gallery these days called the Blue Coat Centre of Contemporary Arts. But what it used to be was an old girls' school, and that is officially the oldest building in Liverpool. So, you know, if you are visiting Primark, there's a reason why you're doing it, isn't there, folks? Not for cheap consumerism, no. Now you're about to see the Beatles once again down to your right. You'll notice that we're just doing a little loop in a second. If you look down there to your right, you'll see the Beatles on the edge of the Hard Day's Night Hotel again. The Captain Club down there is where the Beatles played 292 times. There's a wall of hits and a wall of bands on the cabin. And the wall of hits is every single #1 single to come from Liverpool printed on the bricks. 61 #1 singles. Most of any city in Britain. In fact, where are you two from, ladies, if you don't mind me asking? No? I've not heard of that. Never heard of it. Yeah. Oh, Paul Talbot. Well, Liverpool's definitely got more #1s than Paul Talbot. Sorry, I was just trying to rob it in. Oh, you were born here, you're on a pilgrimage to visit your old haunts, eh? This is the land of your ancestors. Right, well there you go, you've got the most #1s, ladies, well done. The first #1 to come from Liverpool, you probably heard of it. You definitely heard it actually, but you'll never guess it in a million years. Go on, I challenge you, you culture bus. Very across the Mersey, it's a good show, sir, but not quite. It was Lita Rosa with the song How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? You know it, folks? Well, here we go then, on the count of 3. What? No, let me show you. Maybe later, but we'll do Ferry Across the Mersey later, right? That'll be nice one. We're just about to enter the world's first ever football quarter next. To your right here, we have the Shankly Hotel, to your left, the Dixie Dean Hotel. This is a hotel for which either side of the city is a boat, whether it be a red or a blue. As you can see, full of stag and hen boots these days, which is exactly what Bill Shankly would have wanted, isn't it, folks? But yes, Bill Shankly, Scottish legend, he made Liverpool into the footballing dynasty they are today. Dixie Dean was Everton's greatest player, still holds the record for scoring the most league goals in one season. 60 in one campaign, and that's just in the league. Not bad that, is it, you know, your football. Got any other footy teams on board today? Anyone else support anybody else other than Liverpool or Everton? Boris, oh, good. You've been promoted, haven't you, Boris? Well done. So, to your left now, you can see a great big hole in the ground. This is the Mersey Tunnel. It goes all the way under the water to a small town on the other side known as Birkenhead. Let me tell you folks, unless you've got business over there, there's no real reason to use that tunnel today. Now, here we are in the museum district. If you look to your left here, you'll see the World Museum now. 5 floors of exhibits there, including on the top floor a planetarium, on the bottom floor an aquarium, and everything in between from mummies and dinosaurs. Well worth a look, folks. All completely free as well. Anyone jumping up here at the museum? Just let me know now. And I think we're going to be boarded by quite a few people in just a second. My favourite thing about dropping people into the museums though is everybody gets off here. What they do is they see the word entrance over there to your left. That's not the museum, that's the library. So every day when I fail, you see them walking over there and realise they're making their way that way. So it's usually point it out and enjoy the company. To our left there, that is Liverpool Central Library. It was voted the best library in Britain as of 2020. It's well worth a look, folks. It's got authentic Victorian reading rooms. That building there with the rounded sides and the columns. Basically, it's like the library from Beauty and the Beast. Sorry, I don't know that's a story, but I think it's kind of quite well. There's also a rooftop terrace. You can read your books in the sun today. One of the only days of the year where you probably can, to be honest. Hello, welcome aboard. How are they? Have you just been in the museum, fellow? No, right. You had a chance then to impress upon us, but so what do you have for breakfast? A roast? Alright. This lady has a roast for breakfast.
Thank you.
They're doing differently where you're from, don't you? It's alright, don't worry. Northampton. Hello, welcome aboard. Are you all together? This is a hen do. Oh, right, okay. Is it a birthday? Oh, what? We've got a 30th at the back over here, everybody. Did you hear that? What's your name, birthday girl? Maxine, alright. When are you getting off? Alright, okay. Right, the docks, alright, I'll see what we can do there. I'll see what we can do. Yeah, Liverpool Central Library is well worth a look. And my favourite thing about the library, actually, is they put the words entrance above it just to make sure you can read before you go in, which I think is pretty clever. Yeah, as you look at the escalators, the skylight at the top next to it, the cyclops, there's a lot of thought been put into it. I think that's what most people do. It's fast becoming one of our biggest visitor attractions, actually. It's even the pathway there is lined in the names of books. And up to the front of us there, to the left, we've got the Walker Art Gallery there, the only 5-star art gallery in the north of England. Facing statue of Michelangelo and Raphael. And if you're wondering who that is on the column, on the plinth, anyone like to have a guess? Duke of Wellington? No, it's Kendall. No, it's not. Who said Duke of Wellington then? You're absolutely back on my look, yeah. I think that's only like the third time that's ever been guessed. Well, yeah, was it again? Alright, okay. Where are you from, if you don't mind me asking? Alright. I know, I'm in Scottish, so no, yours sat on your feet, but that's a traffic call on the next door. Yeah, that's good, yeah. Yeah, that is the Duke of Wellington. He's looking at his most famous battle, the Battle of the Waterloo. Now, I didn't get much time to tell you about the tunnel. And it's well worth the chat about, because if you look to the front of it, you'll actually see King George V and his wife Queen Mary on the other side. Just above it. Those were the first two people to drive through the tunnel in 1934. It was the longest and widest underwater tunnel when it first opened in 1934. 2.1 miles it was. On the opening day, the people of Liverpool were allowed to walk through on foot, and they did. They walked the full 2.1 miles off the tunnel. And a couple of days later, our local paper, the Liverpool Echo, received a few letters of complaint. People were disappointed because they couldn't see the fish as they walked through the tunnel. Can't please everybody, can you, folks? No. Now you've got two topics now. I usually give you a choice. I can either tell you about our old graveyards or our theatres. Whoever shouts out first, that's graveyards. Alright, we're going with this lady here then. I love it, we've got a morbid one on the bus. Lovely to see. Well, this used to be a graveyard here, St John's Gardens to your left. There used to be 25,000 dead bodies piled into that one plot of land, believe it or not. To the point where there was only 6 inches of dirt with the deceased. Some said it wasn't uncommon to walk past there on a wet and windy day and to see a couple of feet sticking out of the ground. Charming that, isn't it, folks? The average life expectancy in Liverpool during the 17 and 1800s was just 17 years of age. You know, like Queen Victoria first saw this place, she said it was worth it each pound. I think you'll all agree. It certainly lives up to that banner. It was the first air-conditioned building anywhere in the world. It was the old law course of Liverpool. It was the old concert hall, and it's now the registry office for the city as well. So this is where everybody gets married over a weekend. But this plateau at the front is where we hold all of our celebrations and our protests as well. So when Liverpool Football Club or Everton Football Club win anything, that's where we gather and celebrate over there. Oh, no, sorry, I have to back that up, so today don't have apologies, folks. When Liverpool Football Club win anything, that's where we gather and celebrate over there. Yeah, sorry, Actually accurate, isn't it? Everton haven't won a trophy since 1995, it is just facts. Rub it in, mate, rub it in. We've probably seen that building, St George's Hall, you've probably seen it on the screen. It's used for filming for pretty famous productions actually. Has anyone seen the new Batman film that came out recently? Oh, you have, sir? Well, that was Gotham City Hall. You know, people up in the floods and torture someone inside. Well, that was all filmed around there. That Robert Pattinson, the Batman himself, was on top of the Liver buildings for 3 days and helicopters just whirred around him. Yes, that was quite a sight. You may have seen the inside of it as well. I'll give you a virtual tour here. Has anyone seen Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them? The Harry Potter spin-off film, yeah. You know the grand ballroom where there's some sort of magic fight? You can tell I've not seen it, can't you? Yeah, that was all shot inside St George's Hall. And has anybody seen Peaky Blinders? Has anyone seen up to series 3 where he's in court? Those are the law courts of St George's Hall that is filmed in. So there you go. Just give you a virtual tour. You've seen the outside and now you've seen the inside. No, you don't. Well, yeah. Yeah, there's somewhere with wands. One's got wands in them. From what I've heard. Now, she said Peaky Blinders is very violent. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. It's not for the weak at heart, is it? So this street that we're currently sat on is London Road, and we all know where London Road leads to. Don't we, folks? It leads to Warrington. Yeah, bit of a surprise for some people. But there is a reason. It's because we didn't used to have a direct train line to London back in the day. So what you used to have to do, you used to get a horse-drawn carriage from this road to Warrington, and then get a train to London. So you did end up in London eventually, but yeah, by Warrington. The favourite fact about this street here, though, is it's where a small video games design company in the 1990s developed the first Tomb Raider game. So Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, who's had plenty of video games and about 3 films dedicated to it. Was actually born on that road. So you know what that means, so don't you, folks? Lara Croft is a scouser. There you go. Now, to your left here, this is a row of terraced houses known as Seymour Terrace. It's a bit like an Edinburgh Street, isn't it, my love? Yeah. Yeah. And we've got plenty of these, actually, in Liverpool. We've got a whole area dedicated to this kind of housing called the Georgian Quarter, which we'll take you through a bit of later on. But this is kind of an example of how we used to live here in Liverpool. These have been fully serviced houses. You'd have lived in here with your, not only with your families, but your cooks and your servants would have lived here too. And that's where they'd have lived on the top floors. That's why the windows of these kind of houses are always shorter and narrower. Not only were the rooms smaller, but also you didn't want anyone seeing the riff-raff on the top floors, did you? But they were going to knock these down in the 1970s, believe it or not. And architectural conservationists chained themselves to the railings and refused to move, so they could bulldoze them. Someone ended up buying this road terrace house. All the doors, the 1980s, someone bought them for £75,000. Yeah, so made a bit of a killing there. I think they turned it over. Some turned them over in the 90s for about 3.8 million. Yeah, so not a bad bit of business, that, is it, folks? That's Liverpool Lime Street Station to our right there now. That is the oldest surviving railway station anywhere in the world, Liverpool Lime Street Station. And it actually connects to the first railway track, the Liverpool to Manchester Railway, the first purpose-built passenger carrier service anywhere in the world, where we connected up the cities of Liverpool and Manchester in the 1830s, and then found out just how much we can get on. Yeah. I'll have to cut the railway short, folks, because we've got a gentleman fast approaching who I think you'll all want to mindful of. He's on the front of Lewis's department store now. He's called the Spirit of Liverpool Resurgent. And you should be able to see all of him today, because it's not that cold, is it? He's up there. You can see him, look. He's called the Spirit of Liverpool Resurgent because he represents Liverpool, riding his folks back out onto the world stage after the Second World War. Okay, my love. You're getting off here. If you are getting off, just let me know. We'll stop the bus properly so you're not going around bends in the future. Well, you got a bit of time to get down the stairs. No, this is all right. Got some people coming down, Scotty, just saying, oh, it's been a pleasure, ladies. Have a lovely day. Where are you off to now? Anywhere. Oh, I'm lovely. See the graveyards. Sort of wrong with you, Bob, but top decking them, isn't it? Well, anyway, that's that gentleman you've just seen on the wall up there. He's referred to in Liverpool as Dickie Lewis. Probably work out why. Oh, here we go, primary in the state of the frontier has been stolen. You love to see it. I'll see you later, folks. Have a lovely day.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you. Just got a couple of bolts to come down and then I'll be able to get you up.
Are you grabbing these, are you? Yeah. Come keep me company, that's what I like to say.
Thank you, Tata. See you guys.
So to our left now, we have a hotel. We may have heard of it. It's called the Adelphi. Has anyone heard of this place before? You were here in the 60s? How was it in the 60s? You had a couple of good nights here. Okay, we'll all read between the lines there, buddy, so I'll give it a ring. But I'll be honest with you, sir, I've been very surprised that they cleaned it since you last visited, to be honest. Yeah. It's not quite as glamorous as it once was. Now, when Eleanor Roosevelt first stayed there, she said there was only 2 hotels worth staying in the whole of Europe. One was the Grand in Paris and the other was that one. Yeah. And it's not quite that well received anymore, let's put it that way. In fact, there was a lady on the bus the other week and said, is anyone staying here? She said, I am. I said, oh, how was your stay been? She said, well, I went to the room last night, so I popped into the bathroom to wash my face, you know, as you do. And I turned the tap on. The tap popped off, hit me in the shin, nearly knocked me out. The room flooded and we had to evacuate the entire floor. So there you go, that's the state of play in the Adelphi at present. What's ironic is they actually have, on the first floor, they have a bar in there, which is an exact replica of the smoking room in the Titanic, known as the Sefton Suite. Yeah, so you can know what it feels like to go and sit on a sinking ship in there tonight, if you know what I mean. Literally and figuratively. But yes, we are just now entering the student quarter here in Liverpool. We've got any students on board today. I know. I saw quite a few of my discount tickets, so I assume there will be more, to be honest, but never mind. But yes, we've got 5 universities here in Liverpool because we're dead clever. To your right here is one of them, Liverpool John Moores University. That's the Redmond's building. Actually, that's named after Bill Redmond. Yeah, TV writing, creator of award-winning TV dramas and serials such as Grange Hill, Brookside, and one that still lights our screens to this very day, Hollyoaks. Yeah, but if you look to your right now, you will see the first of our 2 cathedrals. This is the Metropolitan Cathedral of Christ the King, our Catholic cathedral. A bit lofty that, isn't it, the name? Metropolitan Cathedral of Christ the King. So we take to calling our Catholic cathedral Paddy's Wigwam, in honour of our Irish heritage. My other favourite name for it is the Mersey Tunnel. I think that's a good one too. But to your left here, this is the first ever red brick university building. This is the original campus of the university. It's called the Victoria Galleries and Museums, designed by Alfred Waterhouse, who also designed Scotland Yard and Tower Bridge in London. There is a better view of that Catholic cathedral if you look to your right. Originally it was going to be 4 times larger than this, except that crypt there with the pyramid. Unfortunately, World War II broke out, so they had to scale back the design to what you see before your very eyes now. Then eventually ended up costing us only £1 million. As you can see, it's very modern in its design. I heard someone ring the bell then, so don't worry, the stop's coming up to your left just now. It's very modern, isn't it, folks? Very modern. Yeah, especially that period, especially for a Catholic as well. If you look to your right here, you'll see it's so modern, it's even got its own underground car park. Can you see that? You can literally park your car underneath the cathedral there and take a lift up to Mass. It's cheap as well, you know, that car park. Yeah, it's a great display. It's also where you take carriage for a service. Now, alright, you come up with better religious-based car parking jokes then, everybody, yeah? I'm all ears, thank you. We're trying to entertain as well as the fun. Although you all look more pained, actually, that's alright, am I really right? Yeah, you look up to your right now. That's just a reason to visit. The tower up there, the tower has the largest collection of stained glass anywhere in Britain. 25,000 pieces. That's why the bells hang on the outside rather than the inside, because they would spring on the inside and shatter all the stained glass in the tower.
The tower.
Now, is anybody jumping off at the Philharmonic on Hope Street next? No? Well, this is Hope Street, this is your market drinking street later, folks. To the front of us, we have the Anglican Cathedral. Behind us, we have the Catholic Cathedral. This is the only street in the world that has a cathedral at either end, folks. And to your right here, we have the Philharmonic dining rooms. This was John Lennon's favourite pub. It's lovely that, the gold leaf, isn't it? Famous for its toilets. Genuinely, the toilets are grade 1 listed. They're made from pink marble, Mike, Connemara in Ireland. Very sleek, very fancy. Unfortunately, it's just the gents, ladies, I know. Don't let that put you off, it's the urinals, you see. You march in there and say to the bar staff, want to see these toilets today? They'll take you in and let you to take a few photos. Just don't take a snap of everything that's happening in there, that's my advice. And up to your left there, Folker Street, this is our Georgian Quarter now, if you look up there. That's where A House in Our Time was filmed, for Channel 4. That's the Georgian Townhouse. To your left here, this is Blackburn House. This is where Edwina Curry went to school, folks. Yeah, you still see John Major there, hiding behind the bike sheds. To your right here as well, we've got the Old Art College. This is where John Lennon went to study art. This sandstone building, met his future ex-wife, Cynthia Lennon. To your right, this one with the red stripe running along, that's the Old Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. It's a theatre school funded by Sir Paul McCartney himself. He still gives the graduates their degrees and their diplomas personally when they graduate. It's his old boys' school he went to with George Harrison. And up to your left, there's more Georgian townhousing for you folks. Would you believe this area of the city is technically known as Toxteth? Not quite what you'd expect, is it, folks? Oh, and if you want to know where Adolf Hitler may have lived in Liverpool when his brother was here for many, many years, there's a Gambia Terrace just over here to your left. Alois Hitler, his half-brother, used to live in Liverpool for years. He studied engineering. He was a wine waiter at the Delphi and at the Philharmonic. His wife, Bridget Hitler, lovely Irish name, she said that he stayed with them there at Gambia Terrace for 11 months. But personally, I think she was trying to sell a few books herself. Now, is anyone jumping off the Anglican, the big cathedral? No, well there it is to your left, folks. This is the largest cathedral in Britain, the 5th largest anywhere in the world. Get a load of that. Created by Giles Gilbert Scott, who also designed the red telephone box that used to sit on the corner of British Street. In fact, he's buried at the front, he's not buried inside, it's Giles Gilbert Scott. And he's buried at the front, and that's because he was a Catholic. He designed the Anglican Cathedral. Who designed the Catholic Cathedral? A Protestant. Yeah, Presbyterians. There we go, we like to do things backwards here, just to make life more interesting. And now, welcome to Rugby Street. This is the most expensive street to live on in Liverpool currently. Closest Georgian street to the city centre. If you look to your left now at number 62, this is the birthplace of William Ewart Gladstone. 4 times Prime Minister of Great Britain. Britain's longest serving Prime Minister, and I'll just remind you all as well, folks, Scoutser. Yeah. building with that one, not just flats. As you can see, it's full of offices these days, the streets. It's all doctors and surgeons, basically it's plastic surgeons. They're becoming known as the Harley Streets of the North, this road. You look to your left here, you see Crystal Clear Skincare Clinic. To your right, the Implant and Dental Centre. Want some local gossip today, folks? Come on. This corner here is where they built Sam Robinson. It's where they shaved off all the weakest links. Yeah. Well, the Beatles manager Brian Epstein used to live further up this road here. As you can see, he was a bit more well-to-do than the other Beatles. He weren't quite as working class as they made out. Only Ringo really was properly working class. But they weren't quite up to Epstein's level. To your left here now, you'll see St. Luke's Church. And if you look through the windows of this church, you'll see that there ain't no. In fact, there's no roof. And that's because it was hit by a firebomb during World War II, which completely gutted the inside of the place, leaving only the outside walls remaining steadfast. What Liverpool decided to do was to leave it exactly as it was, as a lasting reminder. There's not usually a sort of gazebo inside like that. Usually it is just completely hollow. I think they must have some sort of festival on the minute. They've got quite a few summer events coming up that are well worth a look. And my favourite thing that they hold here is the Liverpool Theatre Festivals, the old plays inside. And I watched the production of Macbeth in there. Just the sun was setting and 3 witches came in. It was very eerie. My favourite thing after that though was watching the actors trying to compete with the seagulls who were mating in the rafters of Liverpool. Dialogue wise, they really were losing that battle with those actors. But still well worth it, I'd say. And at Christmas time, you can take all your blankets and your sleeping bags, sit in that church underneath the stars, and they play black and white films for you like it's a wonderful life. Casablanca as well. Yeah, did anyone see the statue of World War I who's there as well? It's the Great War. The football in the middle, you can't quite see it anymore because it's a little bit overgrown. Yeah, so it's dedicated to the armistice when they put down the weapons down and played a game of football. Which the Germans were apparently 2-1. Probably on penalties. Yeah, we saw them digging that hole actually, the army. 2 lads from the army were digging a hole in the middle there. I said, what are you doing? Stopped the bus and said, well, what are you up to? We said, no, we're digging a hole. We said, why? We went, no. Just been talking through it. And then the next day, that statue was there. So there you go, that's the chain of command, folks. It was on a need-to-know basis. Now, if you want a decent meal today, you're going to visit probably the most visited street in Liverpool is Bold Street to your left, to your left, what I'm talking about, to the front of us here. This is the old Market Street, basically. And down there we've got lots of independent restaurants that are well worth a look. It's hard to walk down that street if you're from Liverpool and not bump into someone you know. And that was folks, just entering Chinatown. You see all the street lanterns around there are coloured in the lovely colours of China, red, green and gold. It's got a Chinese arch in front of you as well, which some of you will just be able to see now. And that's the Millennium Arch, that is. That is the largest Chinese arch outside of mainland China. Given to us in the year 2000 by the city of Shanghai. Well, the 200-inch Calaam dragon on the side of that. Is anyone jumping off here at the Chinese arch? Let me know there. No? It's not too bad. Just keep this building next to it, the black cube. There's the next building beside you, might as well. There's the Chinese arch. That's the year 2000. It's a bit odd, isn't it? Liverpool having the largest Chinese arch outside of mainland China. Why Liverpool of all places? It does seem a bit odd. Yeah, but that is the reason. Most of the ships here went to China. In fact, we're twinned with the city of Shanghai. And they gave us that arch, the city of Shanghai, because that is the oldest Chinatown in Europe. They're the first Chinese settlers on the European continent, basically. If you want to know how they ended up here,